Hello, Year 3, and welcome to a brand new lesson this term. Now, if you remember last term on a Monday, we did geography in the afternoon, but this term we're going to switch it up just a little bit and we're going to do history instead. All right. If you remember, we did do history a few terms ago when we were talking about the Stone Age. All right. And now we're going to continue with history and we're going to learn about a new part of it. So let me share my screen with you. Okay. And as you can see from our learning objective, our history lessons this term are going to be about Egypt. So today's date is the 22nd of February 2021, and we are learning today to locate Egypt in time and place. All right. So before we do that, I would just like you to have a think about our just checking questions. Now we do these just to refresh your memory, just to jog your memory about what you have already learned in the past, all right? It does not matter if you can't remember all of these, it's just here as a reminder. So the first question is which country, now we did this last term, which country did lots of our orange juice come from? So if you remember in geography, we talked about how we get food from lots of different places all around the world. Do you remember the country which orange juice came from? Okay. All right. So I'm just going to reveal the answer. All right. Lots of orange juice sold in the United Kingdom comes from Spain. So well done if you remembered that orange juice comes from Spain. You may remember this slide where it says oranges are picked from an orange grove in Spain. And then a machine like this one over here sorts the orange juice and then squeezes it out and separates it from the skins. So well done if you remember that lots of the orange juice comes from Spain. Then, this one might be a little bit trickier. Question 2, describe the conditions of a temperate climate zone. Okay, so what conditions, think about rainfall, think about how hot or dry it might be. What conditions would a temperate climate zone have? Don't worry if you can't remember. As I said, this is here just to jog your memory. It's called you just checking, just so that we can remind you of things that you've already learned so you don't forget it. All right. So just checking your geography, the conditions of a temperate climate zone. All right. Temperate climates are warm in summer, cool in winter, and have moderate rainfall. That means your average amount of rainfall. Okay, grains grow well in these conditions. So well done if you remember that, or well done if you thought of something else that's not exactly these words, because I know you won't remember the exact words, but well done if you remember parts of it. Okay, warm in the summer, cool in the winter. That's what a temperate climate zone is. Right? Now, this one, I know I've been talking about it quite a lot, and I know Miss Davis covers it quite a lot as well. Can you remember all the 7 continents? All right, there's 7 of them. Now, don't remember that United Kingdom is not a continent, and England is not a continent, it's a country. The continents are your larger land masses, and within these, we have our countries. I'll give you a little clue. I'll give you the answer to one actually. We live on the continent of Europe. Oh, and that's actually over here on your next just checking question. But can you remember the 7 continents? Okay, just have a think about it. You don't need to write it down, just have a think. And I'm going to reveal your answer. You've got North America, South America, Europe, as I told you, Africa, Asia. Asia's your biggest continent. Australia, or if you said Oceania, that's fine as well. And then you've got Antarctica. Okay, so those are your 7 continents. And then can you name 3 European countries? It can be any 3. I know you know at least 3 of them. As I told you, we live in one of these countries. Okay, and I'm just going to put up the picture of Europe over here. So if you had any of these answers, you have done really well. Okay, as you can see, we've got the United Kingdom, France, Ireland, Iceland, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Germany, Poland, part of Russia, a part of Turkey. Romania, all of these are European countries. And this entire thing, as you can see over here, is the continent of Europe. Okay, so well done if you remembered at least 3 of the countries. Okay, so that was just you checking, just to jog your memory. Don't worry if you can't remember it, that's why we're doing it again, okay? But now let's move on to our new learning, which is about ancient Egypt. Before we do that, what is the difference between ancient and modern? These are 2 key vocabulary words that we need to know. The difference between ancient and modern. Okay, have a think about it. Well, ancient history refers to things that happened a long time in the past. Ancient history is generally everything up until the year 500 AD. Now, you might not know what this means, and that's what we're going to cover today. Okay, but ancient history is generally everything up until the year 500 AD. If you remember, when we talked about Stone Age, we were talking about prehistory. And prehistory is when they couldn't write anything down. And we had to use different artifacts, and we had to study cave paintings, and we had to study rock formations to help us understand about prehistory. Well, there's prehistory, now there's ancient history, and then we've also got modern history, okay? And that refers to everything that happens recently since the year 500, okay? I know this might sound a bit confusing, so let's look at what I'm talking about. So over here, we had that Stone Age. Remember when I was talking about prehistory? That was our Stone Age, before things were written down and people used to travel a lot and move from place to place, okay? Then you've got ancient Egypt, okay, which is what we're covering now. So we've done this. We're going to do ancient Egypt now. And then as you move on, when you move on to year 4 and year 5 and year 6, you learn about the Tudors and you learn about the Victorians, okay? But we, in year 3, we've covered Stone Age, and now we're going to do ancient Egypt. And here are those letters again, BC, AD. What do they mean? Well, AD are dates that count up, all right? Smaller numbered dates happened earlier than larger numbered dates. So for example, imagine that over here is the year 0. Okay, that's the year 0. We are currently in the year 2021. Now, what year came before 2021? Well, I think that's quite simple. It was the year 2020. So before 2021 came 2020, and that's what it looks like on our timeline. And before 2020 came 2019. And all of these dates are in our timeline all the way from 0 up until 2021. Okay, and those dates are your AD dates. Okay, just going to delete those now so you don't get confused. But as well, you've then got BC dates. Okay, and these count down. Now, this is a bit strange because the larger number dates over here happened earlier than the smaller numbered dates, okay? I know it's a little bit confusing, but we'll keep recapping this over our history unit. So for example, over here, you've got, oops, let me get my writing up. You've got the year 2021, and then after the year 2021 came the year 2020. And then after the year 2020 came 2019. Okay, so these dates were counting down until they reached 0. And once they reached 0, it became 1 AD, 2 AD, 3 AD, all the way up until 2021 AD. Okay, so we don't say 2021 AD, but it is 2021 AD. Okay, so what that means is that, for example, the year 60 BC happened after 70, and that makes sense because if you're counting down all the way from 2000 all the way up to 0, you will count down, and those numbers started earlier. Okay, a little bit confusing. We will go over and over it. All right, so where does ancient Egypt come into place over here? Well, if you look, we've got the Stone Age, which we talked about, and the Bronze Age, and those happened all in 2800 BC. Somewhere in between over there, you've got ancient Egypt, which started in 3100 BC or 3100 BC. In 3100 BC, King Menes united two Egyptian kingdoms and built an empire that lasted until 30 BC. Okay, so over here, right about here, the Romans took over ancient Egypt. So ancient Egypt went all the way from here, okay, all the way up to here. That's the period we're talking about. Okay, and the periods of history that we know before that, well, I told you it's the Stone Age. And after that, you've got what I said with the Tudors, and you've got the Victorians, but there's also these different empires. You've got the Anglo-Saxons, you've got the Islamic Empire, you've got the Mayans, you've got the Iron Age, which falls in between. You've got ancient Greece, which falls in between. All of these fall in between this timeline. Okay, so as we were talking about ancient Egypt, it's really important to know that Egypt is a country in Africa, which you can see over here. So we were talking about Europe, and we've done our European neighbors. We've talked about England and the UK, and now we're going to focus on Africa over here. And Egypt over here. Okay, so that is all we are going to cover today. Our activity for today is just going to be talking about what we may infer about ancient Egypt life. So we are going to use clues, just like we do in our reading. We're going to use clues, and we're going to use what we know to try and see if we can say anything about ancient Egypt life. Now, I know I haven't taught you anything about it, but I just want you to make a guess about what could possibly have happened, all right? Which means there's no right answers and there's no wrong answers. It is just what you think may have happened, all right? Life in ancient Egypt depended on a person's wealth and education. We find out information about ancient Egyptian people from the objects that they left behind. Okay, so here, what can we learn about this artifact? What questions could we ask about this artifact? All right, well, questions we could ask: what is it? Okay, we don't know what it is, but again, have a guess. What is it? What do you think it was used for? Well, it looks to me like it was a sculpture of a cat. What could we possibly use that for? Think about what you might use this for in modern days. I think it could be a decoration of some sorts. Okay, where do you think it might have been found? It may have been found. Well, if I'm saying it's a type of decoration, maybe it was found in someone's house. Maybe it was found in one of the shops. Maybe it was found in the pyramids that we know about ancient Egypt. Okay, who might it have belonged to? Well, again, having a guess. If someone maybe belonged to someone that liked cats, okay, someone that wanted a decoration. Maybe it belonged to a king that enjoyed having statues of cats around his palace. Again, do I know the answer? No, I'm just making an inference. I'm using knowledge about what I know. I'm using the picture to help me, okay? There's no right or wrong answer. What might it be made from? Now we know it's after the Stone Age. We know it's sometime around the Bronze Age. I'm thinking a bit of metal, maybe some clay. Okay, it looks like it's lasted a long time, so it's probably made out of metal. I don't know. Okay, and what does it tell us about ancient Egypt? Well, again, I think it might tell us that they liked cats, that maybe they thought cats were really important in their lives. Okay, that's what it might tell me. Again, don't know the answer, but using clues, I'm making a guess. All right. So, what is it? Statue of a cat. What do you think it was used for? It might have been made to look like a real cat that someone had as a pet. Again, not a wrong answer. Where do you think it may have been found? It may have been found in a pyramid. Who might it have belonged to? It probably belonged to someone rich because it's not something you would need in your daily life. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. And then what might it have been made for? Well, this person thought it was made from wood. And yeah, you know what? It does look like it was made from wood. And maybe it was painted and preserved. And then finally, what does it tell us about ancient Egypt? It tells us that cats were important. because they wouldn't have made statues of them otherwise. Well, that makes sense as well. Okay, so can you see my answers were slightly different to this person's, but who's to say that my answer is wrong and their answer is right? It is all a guess based on what we can see. And that is what your activity is going to be today. This is another artifact that tells us about life in ancient Egypt. Okay, hopefully you can see that clearly, but it is part of your assignment on Teams. All you have to do is answer those same 6 questions about this artifact. Okay, this is a piece of ancient history that we have found about ancient Egypt. Okay, so have a think. What do you think it is? What do you think it was used for? Where was it found? Who might it have belonged to? Okay, again, no right or wrong answers, you're just inferring. What might it be made from? And finally, what does it tell us about ancient Egypt? Okay, so what does it tell us about that? You're just gonna have a think, look through it, no right or wrong answers, and then you can type up your answers on the assignment on Teams, or you can take a picture of your work and post it to the assignment on Teams as well. Okay, but really simple activity. Have a think. Remember, I was talking about how ancient Egypt happened a long, long time ago. It's about 5,000 years ago. What did they use to make it? What is it? Where did they find it? Why did they have it? All of these are questions that you should think about. Okay, once you have done that, then you've completed your history assignment for today. So hopefully you're looking forward to learning about ancient Egypt. Next lesson will reveal some more information about them. Okay, so well done, year 3. Hopefully you are a little bit intrigued, and we will continue this next week. Bye.